it's getting stuck in that cycle, and how do you get yourself out of it? Because that's really hard, like, how
Mm-hmm.
do you make the decision? Like, when you're in a spiral, like, that's hard to get yourself out of that. And what is going to be the reset?
Are you tired of looking in the mirror and hating what you see? Tired of wondering if your stomach looks fat during sex, or avoiding being naked altogether because of the way you talk to yourself? Are you tired of being confident in public while secretly picking yourself apart in private? Good. That's why you're here. Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, your go-to guide to feeling confident in your body, comfortable naked, and in love with sex. I'm your host, Morgan Barkis, author, speaker, exotic dance instructor, and empowerment coach for women. I earned my master's in marriage and family therapy while stripping to pay for graduate school, and guess what? I loved the work so much, I danced for over a decade. Now I coach women who are ready to flip the negative self-talk, rewrite the stories that have kept them playing small, and finally feel powerful and sexy in their bodies. All without strict diet plans, soul-crushing workouts, or another Cosmo-style 5 tips for the best sex of your life list. This isn't positive affirmation confidence. This is confidence embodied. This podcast isn't about becoming someone new. It's about stepping into the most unapologetic, pleasure-filled version of you. If you're looking for a judgment-free space to talk about sex, beauty standards, trauma, pleasure, and power, you're in the right place. And if you're looking for sugarcoating or PG conversation, this probably isn't the show for you. Whether I'm flying solo or bringing you raw, honest conversations with powerful women, every episode is designed to help you ditch the insecurities, reclaim your body, and start living like the unapologetic woman you were meant to be. So turn up the volume, listen at 1.5 speed while you're doing other things, and strap in for this wildly unapologetic ride, because I'm a crazy driver.
I think, all of the confidence, whether that's just in life or it's in the bedroom or whatever, like, wherever you're feeling like you need to, work. I don't know if you want to say work on it, but
I think
like,
it's practice. I think anything
yeah,
takes
it's
practice.
practice.
One of my other favorite memories of all time is we worked with a front desk gal who I'm nosy. Like, I have no shame about how nosy I am. When I meet people, I'm like, so tell me
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah.
And we were working one afternoon and she was, doing whatever she was doing with the front desk stuff. And I was doing inventory for our merchandise. And I started asking her about her relationship. And she had been like in this long-term relationship. And I was like, well, how's the sex, And she's like, it's all right. I mean, I don't, and I was like, all right, like, say
Like, all
more. Like,
right.
yeah, like, what are we doing here? And
Yeah.
she's like, I get on top and then I ride him out. And then that's usually that. And I was like, wait a minute. I said, okay, are you orgasming? And she's like,
Right.
I think so. And I said, so I described it to her. She's like, oh no, I've never had one of those. And I said,
Yeah.
do you masturbate? And she's like, no. And I was like, all right. Well, I mean, you do you. I'm not your therapist, but I'm just saying, here's my suggestion. And I like tried to set up a scenario for her. And I'm like, I really should, like, you discovering you will change who you are when you show up with your partner. And I don't remember how many weeks later, and I wanted to ask her, and then I finally asked her, and she didn't. And then one day she came and she's like, Morgan, I did what you said. Oh my God. She's like, I didn't even know my body could do that. I feel so empowered and powerful.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. But see, that's the first step. And then it's like, as you build on that and you do it more often and you learn your body, and then you
Right.
share that with a partner if you choose to do that. And now you can start, you know what you want. And so I think same as confidence, it's something that you
Right.
have to practice every single day.
Right.
So.
Well, and going back to the sex piece, like, I feel like that's so much more common than like
What's coming?
anybody.
What's coming?
Well, thinking, they have sex with their partner, but they're like not having orgasms, or it's just okay. And it's like, okay, ugh,
Yeah.
like for me, sex is very important if I'm going to be in a relationship. Like it's a deal breaker if it's not going to be good for me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe that's not for other people, but I think people are embarrassed, right? Like they think they're the only ones, or they don't even know that, like, they've never thought about it. Like, oh, maybe I haven't had an orgasm, or like they don't know what they don't know, you know?
Hmm.
So, but then they're like, they're thinking they should know this already. So they don't want to ask about it or talk about it.
That's true. That's
And
true.
it's
Yeah.
like, well, how do you know where to start, right? Like, and if anybody is watching or listening out there and you're wondering, like, or you're thinking the same thing, I bet you more people than you even realize are in the same boat. Like, if you're thinking,
Yes.
like, that sounds very similar, like, maybe I don't really know, that's okay. Like, there's so many different circumstances people come from, or like sex wise, like if you've been in a relationship for a long time, whether like you were young or whatever, like it's okay to not know like what you're capable of, or have I had an orgasm, I don't even know. Like if you don't know, you don't know, but like you have to start somewhere, right? And usually that's figuring out what you like by yourself, or if you're comfortable with your person, to say, like, I would like to start exploring, like, how, like, pleasure for myself. Like, do you, like, hopefully they would be like, let's do it, but like, it's hard to tell somebody what you like when you don't know what you like,
Hmm.
and so I think it's so much more common than anybody realizes that other people are in the same boat. And it's like, where do you start, like, and so I know, like, Morgan, with you and like your program and everything, like that is what people need, right? Because you can tell them, well, I would start, if it were me, how do you feel about doing this for yourself, or that, so I think people need to know kind of that first step, because how would you know, you
Well, I
know?
think it's good to get some education too, because
Right.
I didn't even know that according to statistics, almost
Mm-hmm.
82% of women don't orgasm for penetrative sex. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So does that mean if that many women are out there having sex and thinking that there's something wrong with them,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want women to feel like something's wrong with them. Like that's
Right.
not fair because our bodies are way more magical than guys' bodies. I mean, we
Right.
can be multi-orgasmic. I mean,
Right.
we are magic. And
Mm-hmm.
I talked about this vessel that we're taking care of. Our vessel can
Mm-hmm.
also be very. I mean, we're like erogenous zones everywhere and just
Right.
so sensitive. And I mean, we are magic. So to me, the first step is just learning. What are the stats?
Mm-hmm.
What's realistic?
Yeah.
What you're seeing in porn and movies is not how it really is.
Right.
Do you have a partner that's willing to explore and learn with you? And I mean,
Right.
think about learning a new language. You don't just start going in the country and just talking. I mean, you might,
Yeah.
that's what immersion therapy there, but um, and trying to figure out. And
Mm-hmm.
there's also classes and books and practice,
Right.
and there's ways to work on stuff. And I think feeling confident in your body or in your sexuality, which is part of being in your body, comes from learning first, like getting a
Right.
foundation. Like
Right.
I recently read the book She Comes First, which is technically written for men, um, on oral sex and just how
Mhm.
wonderful it is and how like it's such a huge part of a woman's pleasure experience. And I was like, I thought I knew a lot. I didn't know all that. Like it, even these all these years later, like all the books
Yeah.
I've read, and it's like unbelievable that I'm still learning. So I think it's
Yeah.
something that the confidence comes from starting with a foundation of knowledge, then
Right.
experimenting with yourself, and then experimenting with the partner, and yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, like you said, you have a partner that's willing. Because if you don't, that's a separate
That's,
issue.
yeah, I was gonna say that's a different story that we'd need to talk about. But like,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I think to your point, it's like if you were gonna start cooking. Like, you're not going to be amazing the first time you do it, most likely.
That's another great example. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like, and, but I think sometimes people, they don't know how to start the exploration, because
That's why you call
yeah,
me.
exactly, exactly. But, yeah, I think that confidence comes in every area of your life, and sometimes, and we're not perfect at every area of our life, so sometimes we have to work a little bit more on one side or another, or one piece or
Mm-hmm.
another, and but as a whole, it affects you so much, whether that's going to a dance class, or it's in bed, or it's discovering yourself. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
takes practice and it takes work. And every day, you're not going to be like, I'm awesome at everything. Like, I've got everything figured out. It's like
Yeah,
sometimes one area is going to take a little bit more work for that
that's
confidence
true.
that day.
Yeah.
Like, you may kick ass at something you did at work, but like didn't feel great about something in your relationship or the way that you look that day. And so you have to try a little harder in one area versus another that day. And
Yeah.
nobody has it all figured out. And that's what I think, going back to judging people, and, especially women being more judgmental than others. It's like, that person doesn't have it figured out either, because if she did, she wouldn't be judging everybody else, or, you have to look at people with kindness and compassion. And I think if we all tried to do that, like if there was less judgment and a little bit more like, let's look for the good versus let's make people feel bad for because I'm feeling bad, like that's not good for anybody. Like, and if you are a person that you notice yourself judging more than celebrating, then I think that's a good place to start. Like that self awareness of like, okay, but okay, so I am judging this person. Why? Why? Like, catch yourself, because we've all done it. I'm not perfect. We've all done it. But when you
Mm-hmm.
do catch yourself judging somebody else, that's a really good pinpoint to what you aren't feeling the best about yourself internally, and that self awareness, I think, will help people give a starting point. Like, what is it really that, okay, I'm judging this person, but where's that coming from? But why? And
And I think a
usually
lot of
that's
it comes from you. Like, and
right,
as we were talking, it was like women are the hardest on themselves. They're usually
right.
very nice to everybody else. They
Yeah.
want to be helpful and they're complimentary and they give a lot of grace. And then
Mm-hmm.
with themselves, they're like super mean. Like even you
Right.
said, you're like super hard on yourself. And
Totally.
why? Like,
My mom will
why?
be the first person. She like yelled at me the other day through text, and I was like, hey, now I can have an opinion about myself, but she's like, you need to stop. Like, and it's true. And I guess maybe I've overcompensated trying to be more judgmental about myself than I am to other people because, you know, well, I try to,
But see, but the women are like that though. They judge themselves. They would
right,
never talk to their best girlfriend or
right,
their sister the way they
right.
talk to themselves.
No,
It's like, what? I had one gal, she was telling me, through perimenopause, she's, picked up a little weight around the middle. And she says, sometimes I look in the mirror and I think, oh, you are disgusting. How does your husband even find you attractive? And I'm like,
yeah.
you say that to yourself? That is so
What do you
mean.
say though in response to that? Where, like, what would be if somebody is saying that, or thinking that way? Because we've all had thoughts like that,
Yeah.
because, right? So when somebody, like a client or, when somebody does say that, what do you say to them on how to fix
For
that?
me, it would be the slow down
Mm-hmm.
because, you're in a really mean place right now.
Yeah.
And, and it would be if that say that again, and is that absolutely true? So if you look in the mirror and say, I am fucking disgusting,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, is that absolutely true? Do you know that to be, are you fucking disgusting? And it's like, no, but I feel like I am.
But you
Okay.
feel like it. Yeah.
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 And if you were to let go of that feeling, how would it feel? Like to let go of that thought, who is that person? Who, what feelings do you have now? What would you feel like if you didn't have that thought?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I would be relieved, or whatever, or I'd feel free, or whatever it is. And then to turn that thought around. Okay, so this
Mm-hmm.
is what you're usually thinking. How can you turn it around? Because I think years ago I read a book by Louise Hay called "You Can Heal Your Life," and I was the queen of negative thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
just nonstop negative chatter in my
Mm-hmm.
brain in my early 20s. And I read that book and I was like, oh, so I get to decide how I feel and how I talk to myself. I am writing these scripts so I can rewrite the scripts. So
Yeah.
it's really, and even, I don't care if it's negative talk, anxiety, whatever, it's slowing. I have a good friend. She's one of my best friends and she's a very wonderful therapist. She does phenomenal work. And there's been times when we're just talking as friends and I'm up here, anxiety 9.5 to a 10.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, Morgan, I need you to take a deep breath. I need you to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I think for a lot of people, they just get stuck in their heads and they're
Mm-hmm.
so used to the negative. And even biologically, like, I don't care if it's couples work, individual work. Unfortunately, our brains, our biology are wired for negativity because we need to survive. And so we're much more aware of and quick to respond to negative things because we need to be safe. And they say, like, even a couples therapy, one negative thing your partner says to you, I forgot what the number is, but it's like 11 to 15 positive things have to be
Yeah.
experienced or said to make up for that. Or
Mm-hmm.
even like reviews.
Right.
If you have a business and someone leaves a terrible review, people will cling on to that even though there's 45 wonderful reviews.
Right.
So it's very unfortunate. We're very good at clinging to the negative. So it's really slowing it down, saying, is this real? Is
Right.
this true? Is
Right.
this absolutely true of you? And if not, what is the truth? How can we
Mm-hmm.
turn that around and reframe it? And it's just
Yeah.
all negative stories. You
Right.
get to rewrite the story. You are a grown ass woman now.
Yeah.
I had a dude in third grade that told me my thighs were fat. I held on to that for years. I was
Yeah.
in third grade. I was a little kid,
Nobody.
but
Yeah.
I always had
Yeah.
big, strong thighs. People would ask me
Right.
if I was in gymnastics. That was just my jam. I wanted to be tall and skinny. It wasn't until I was in my 20s when I met a guy who told me he thought my hamstrings were the sexiest thing about me. And I was like, really? You know, my hamstrings? And so suddenly I got to reframe that through the eyes of a wonderful man who said,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great that you have muscular
Yeah.
thighs. And I was like,
Yeah.
huh, you know? So really, we get to restore if we take the time to do that. And then the more we restore it, we learn that
Mm-hmm.
story wires instead of the negative story.
Do you think too, like biologically as humans, we are in constant improvement mode? Like we
Not
hear,
everybody.
but
Go
like
ahead.
a lot of people, like where whether it's work, whether it's themselves, whether it's what, like we always think like we could do better, or we need to improve, or we need to, so it's like with the negative things, it's like that's like triggers something in your brain that's like, okay, well now I have to fix this. Like we're fixers. We're that, like we're constantly trying to be
I
better.
think, no, to me, the negative stuff is the stuff that holds you back. Like,
Yeah.
I think that we are, it was so funny. I have a quote on my vision board behind me that says, it's amazing what we could accomplish if we thought it was possible. And I think it's Vince Lombardi. And I said to this friend of mine who was a former football player, I said, wasn't Vince Lombardi a football coach? He's like, yeah, he's like the football
Evil.
coach. And I was like, I didn't know,
Yeah.
I just like the quote. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that when we're feeling really positive and on top of the world, we're going, going, going. Our negative thoughts are there to go, but you might die. You
Right.
might fall down. You might
Right.
make a
You get
mistake.
hurt.
Someone might say something bad to you.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might troll you online. Someone might
Mm-hmm.
disagree with you. So I think the negative comes in to hold your reins
Holds you
back.
back.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, think about all that we've accomplished. I was just talking to the dude that sold me my new iPhone the other day. I was like, did you know that only 15 years ago, when I went to LA, I had to go on the computer and write down my MapQuest directions because I didn't have a smartphone to tell me where I was driving all day long. I had to figure it out in LA by myself, just figure out the landscape of the LA traffic, you know.
Yeah.
And so I said, look how fast we progress as humans because we're quite
Mhm.
smart and there's a lot of there's obviously more innovative people than others and what have you. I think the negative talk is to constantly pull our
Hold us
reins
back
back.
and hold us back. It's fear too.
It's
Yeah.
fear.
It's fear. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think I think the bigger, like, yes, the slowdown, but it's getting stuck in that cycle, and how do you get yourself out of it, because that's really hard, like, how
Hmm.
do you make the decision, like, when you're in a spiral, like, that's hard to get yourself out of that, and what is going to be the reset to get you, whether it's, I have to do something about this, like, okay, because part of, feeling bad about yourself, right, is, like, for me, I'm like, okay, well, I could sit there and think these thoughts, but, like, you also could do something about it. Like, if you are unhappy, it's also your responsibility to change that, and what is it going to take to change that. But sometimes, like, that's easier said than done, right? Like, I
Of
can say, like,
course.
hey, I'm unhappy with this, and it's like, okay, cool, like, you need to change that, but it's easier said than done. It's hard to get started. It's hard to take that step, or you don't know what step to take to get you out of it,
Yeah.
So, and same when it comes to, I mean, confidence in general, but whether it's sex, whether it's what you look like, whether it's how, um, that first step is hard to take. And getting
Hmm.
yourself out of that can just be really challenging. And I hope people know that if it's challenging for you, that's okay, because that's
Yeah.
not easy, right? Like, I've been there, and I'm like, well, I hate that, I just remember, like, going back to, like, when I had that surgery in 2018. It's like I was not feeling like myself. My mom was like, I think you're depressed. I'm like, I'm tired. I had surgery, all these things, until, like, I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like, I just got this mini treadmill, and I started walking on this mini treadmill, because I'm like, stop complaining, like, do something. Like, I got to a point where I was just so frustrated with myself that I
Hmm.
needed to do something. And I just was like, do that, like, start walking. And so then I started, like, this was at a time where I tortured myself and did run, because I was like, biggest bang for your buck, let's do this in 30 minutes, which was torture, and I hated it. So now I walk. But it was like that starting point. So however, like, whatever gets you to that point, I wish I had, I probably could have
I
used
was
some.
going to say that's why you get a coach. I mean,
That's what
you
I mean.
call in the coach when you
Yeah.
want to accelerate. So it's a lot of times I think about like therapy is to figure out why something is the way it is. The
Mm-hmm.
coach comes in to go, okay, I know now. How do I
Get
implement?
there.
How do I move forward? How do I get the results faster? I've hired
Mm-hmm.
coaches many times when it's like, I'm going to need a little extra help on this one, and it just it accelerates things to have someone who's kind of a mentor, an accountability partner. And I'll
Right.
be for like you, the first person to say I used to spiral, and would I spiral hard?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, on the floor. I went through depressions and things like that. And now I bounce back a lot quicker because it's something that if you have someone help you learn the skills,
Right.
you pull yourself out a lot faster
Right.
because it's very easy. I'm with you. Like it's easy
It's
to
hard.
you're
Yeah.
like, I'm down, so I might as well stay down.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, and I think that's a really good point, is like, it doesn't have to, whatever that step is for you, and hopefully it is getting a coach, because make that phone call, send that email. Like, you don't have to commit to anything, but, like, have a consultation, if that's, what you want to do. Just try it, just, and that's a good place to start, is with somebody else, because then there's accountability there as well. But, like,
Mhm.
also, I know with a lot of people, it's like, okay, the financial piece, of hiring somebody or whatever. And if that's a roadblock for you, but still send that email, still make
I
that
was gonna
phone
say,
call
take
because,
a dance class then, because the dance class is a good first step. Any
right,
first step.
right. But I think my point is like, you don't know that coach or that person. They may be able to work with you and like on payment, price, whatever it may be. Like, just take a step and like even just making that simple step of sending the email or calling,
You're
to
right. That
set up
does
a
feel good.
consultation, that makes you feel good. And when you feel good, you're
You'll
more
take another
likely
step.
to take another
Yeah.
step and another step and another step and write it down. Remind yourself. Like I wrote, I have like a little like acrylic board on the side of my fridge. And
Yeah.
I wrote recently because instead of, I'm like the queen of getting like new things to work out. Like I have this mini stair stepper that I like get on, and I'm not kidding. Like I'm like, and I like move my hips and whatever. But one day I was like, I want to dance. And I was like, I had pom poms. Of course I did. If anybody knows me, I'm like, give me a pom pom. So I danced with pom poms and I wrote down on that board, I'm like,
I
dance
love
more.
that.
It makes you happy. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Because I needed to remind myself how I felt after the fact. So, like, with the confidence and with taking first steps, like, write down how you felt and then look back at that and remember, like, I felt really good about doing that, and then it helps you take that next step, to get you out of those, like the cycles and or to just keep things fresh, whatever, you tried this, you had a good time, like, write down how you felt when you took that step, because I
Mm-hmm.
think, like, when you read it again, that feeling comes back of like, that was hard to do, to get myself to do that, but I felt really good about it after, and it's the same about like programs like like, I mean, Morgan, you're the best person to talk to about all the things, confidence, self-esteem, sex, all the things, like,
Yeah.
so I'll be the
I always
first.
say that I love to talk about all the things. I had years ago when I was a therapist, and this woman got transferred to me, and I had never met her. So I walk into the area to pick her up. I was going to say her name and hope that whoever was waiting was. She was already walking toward me, and so when we got into my office, I said, "How did you know who I was?" She's like, "Well, I googled you,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, and then toward the end of the session, I told her, just so you know, I am interning. I don't know yet if I'll be continuing on here if they
Mm-hmm.
decide to hire me. And she's like, "Oh, I might lose you to pole dancing." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she goes, "I told you I Googled you and I see that you teach pole dance classes." And I was like, "I do." And I said, "How does that make you feel?" She goes, "Honestly, that's why I wanted you as my therapist, because I knew you wouldn't judge me." And I was
Right.
like, "Well, that is for sure. I'm like the least judgmental person on the planet." So
Right. Well, and you're
you
like,
can come to me with anything. I'm like, let's talk about it.
I know. Well, that was like what was so fun when you and I talked before, like actually setting up this call. Like we hadn't talked in
Yeah.
how many years, I don't know, but like
No.
it was just like I talked to you yesterday, and all of a sudden we're talking about sex and different things and whatever, and I was like, this is so refreshing. I'm like, let's talk every week, all the time. I'm like, because it
I
is
love that.
important, but it is important to find somebody that you feel like you're
You
not
can
going to
just say
judge,
anything. Yeah.
because what's the point if you're holding back, right? Like if you're not going to actually say all the things that you are feeling or doing or whatever, how can that person help you if they don't know
Oh,
the
absolutely.
whole story
Absolutely.
of things? And I mean, I think we're all guilty of it. I mean, I'll
Oh,
say,
I know I am.
yeah. And when you feel like
I've been
somebody,
to some therapists and they don't draw it out of me, and so
yeah,
unless I think of it, I don't say it. It's not that I was like withholding. It was just
right.
they weren't pulling the things out of me, and me, I asked the question. So,
Yeah. Which is,
it just gets people talking.
and that's important. Like I was seeing a therapist, like I just started seeing a therapist, and now I'm switching to a different one because I was like, well, I don't know what she's doing for me. Like, I am just going there and like talking about what happened since the last time I saw her, but like she's not giving me things to work on. She's not giving me like I can if I wanted to just like talk about some of these things without doing anything about it, like I could talk to my girlfriends, I could talk to my mom. Like I don't need to pay
You can talk to
150.
Noah.
I could talk to my crazy puppy over here. I don't need to pay $150 an hour to talk to this woman. And so, it's like finding that right person, and
Yeah.
like finding somebody that is going to draw things out of you and ask the questions and make you feel like you can answer them honestly, because judgment and feeling like you're going to be judged doesn't create a safe space. But I hope everybody, I mean, if they're listening to you and they're following you, they should know that
I'm pretty candid.
You are the one person that'll tell it how it is, but like not make you feel badly about it. And that's important, right? Like you want somebody to call you on your bullshit and you want somebody to make you do the work, but you don't want somebody to make you feel bad or ashamed.
Yeah.
And like you are the perfect person to talk with all the girly stuff and all the life stuff. So
I am. I love that kind of stuff. Like I said, I'm nosy. I want to know all the things. All right. So we got to finally wrap because you and I could go on and on. Let's say you taught a class, everybody's vibing and feeling good and you're feeling good. How would you end the class? What would you tell the gals as they went back out into their lives? What would you leave them with as you end class with them?
I would probably say, gosh, I feel like I used to say something all the time, like as we ended, but carry that confidence with you. Like, look what you did. Be proud of what you did. You worked your ass off. You worked your ass off. You sweat and you looked awesome, and carry that with you the rest of the week because that energy is important. Like, take that energy with you. Take that confidence with you because you just killed it. Like, you crushed it. So it's important to hold on to that feeling and apply it.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If today's episode hit you in your heart and left you feeling empowered, please do me a favor and leave a review on Spotify or Apple. It helps more than you know, and it makes it easier for other women to find this show and feel less alone. And if you're feeling bold, screenshot the episode and share it on your stories or DM it to a girlfriend of yours. Getting the word out is how we grow this unapologetic movement. This podcast exists because women like you are pure magic. And feeling confident in your body isn't something you earn, it's something you decide. You can keep holding yourself back, or you can start living out loud. Dress how you want to dress, chase the dreams that light you up, prioritize your pleasure, and fully enjoy the delicious, messy, powerful experience of being a woman. Until next time, get at me in the DMs. I always love hearing from you.